Welcome, my name is Darryl Kwao. Government has assured it's got adequate funding to sustain the nation builder's core. Concerns have been raised about government having the necessary funds to sustain the program as well as the structure. But government says it has 600 million Ghana cedis from the 2018 budget allocated for the rollout of the program to ensure it is implemented successfully. Let's hear from Dr. Ibrahim Anayas, who speaks on behalf of the Nation Builders Core initiative.
As far as the support, the funding arrangements, we have 600 million from this current budget, the 2018 budget, to be able to start the program. And government had dictated that is supposed to be to cater for the setting up of the secretariat, the stipends, the training. By stipends, I mean the allowances, which is 700 per month. And we believe that in setting up the structures and all the institutional arrangements, that should be sufficient to carry the scheme for the remainder of the year.
Because I ask this question because some think that this project is not sustainable, looking at how you're going to fund this particular initiative.
Well, the sustainability question, you can look at it in several ways. In one way, for example, I suggested that the fact that you're depending on the budget implies that you're competing among other needs to get attention from the national budget, right? The other way to look at it is, if you think about the future of youth employment schemes, it has to justify its value. And I believe that in terms of justifying its value, this scheme is going to demonstrate to the taxpayer that government is on the right track, is thinking rightly about where this country has to be in terms of using the local talent that we have, developing the human resource base, so that in the end, the employability of these graduates and the increased productivity because they have acquired skills would imply that this country has benefited more than probably invested in those young
So apart from the budget, are there other sources of funds?
That is left to the future because there are enterprise issues in terms of the enterprise module that we have, but that is for the future in terms of the layout of those structures. Yeah.
You're watching Business Live. About $191 million IMF cash is expected to hit the Bank of Ghana's account this week after Ghana passed the program review test by the IMF board. Now, despite passing the test, the IMF has raised issues with the country's rising debts and revenue mobilization challenges. The cash is expected to boost the central bank's reserves and possibly go a long way to stabilize the city. Economist with Data Bank, Courage Marty, says this is good for the economy and would not affect investor confidence.
Renewed commitment to fiscal discipline. Some of those we've had to be done to ensure that we are now back on track for the program.
I do think this could have an impact, some impact on the economy, especially looking at the timeliness.
Well, yes. If you look at the indicators and the macro indicators and how the market has actually tracked them, what you notice is that the improvement in the key indicators have already been priced into our yields on our standing bonds. And so it is sending positive signals to the market. We expect that this will also help the government as it goes on the roadshow to issue the new Euro bond. I think that the key impact will be the fact that the new issuance premium that will be demanded by investors may come a little lower, if otherwise the IMF had not done this.
So, of course, that brings us to our very second question in terms of the issuance of this very waiver and its impact on investor confidence. Could this have an impact?
Yes, certainly. It will have a positive impact on investor confidence. But like I said earlier, the key indicators have already been observed by the market. It's already been priced into our risk assessment by the market. But what it will also do is to get this positive feedback or assessment from the IMF would add further glass or luster to the whole story. And that should help the government in beating down the new issuance premium that will be demanded at the Eurobonds.
You are an economist. Where do you see our economy lying in relation to this very engagement with the IMF, especially when we're having so much stark opposition from civil society organizations, some of them?
Well, I think that our economy is heading for better places, and that would happen if we sustain the implementation of the key reforms that are happening. See, at the heart of our problem mostly has been fiscal excesses. Now, with this particular IMF program, there are reforms that have been implemented, like the Public Financial Management Law that was passed in 2016.
About 19 business plans from the Greater Accra region have received all the necessary approvals awaiting takeoff under the One District, One Factory program. These include businesses in agro-processing, manufacturing, services, among others. Deputy Trade and Industry Minister Robert Ahomka-Lindsay disclosed this to Joy Business after launching the district implementation teams for the various districts in the region. He says government is engaging other financial institutions on the remaining business plans to ensure that it provides every district with at least one factory by 2020.
The Ministry of Trade and Industry and the One District, One Factory Secretariats received about 700 business proposals from the 10 regions of the country, with majority in agro-processing. According to the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Ahomka-Lindsay, government has approved 50 of these business proposals in the Greater Accra region, out of which 19 have gone through the various scrutinies and received all the necessary financial approvals for takeoff.
So these are 50 businesses that are bankable that have been talking with the banks since last year, around September, October last year. Of those 50, about 19 of them have gone a little much further down the road. Some of them, they don't need financing. They've already come with either international or other sorts of financing, so we've asked the companies to engage with them, our districts, to engage with them. Some of them have had approval from the banks. Some of them are in an advanced stage of signing the term sheet, and some of them have already actually commenced in terms of what they're doing. So the objective of this DIST is to help them make sure that they do that. Now, some examples of these companies are everything from processing of livestock. I've given some examples. I hope you take some of the snapshots you saw of the presentation. Various businesses across the board. But these are 19 distinctive businesses. But I want to take a step back as well, because one of the things I started the presentation is saying the following. We will deliver the commitment that our president made of One District, One Factory by 2020.
Districts and metropolitan areas that received the approvals include the Accra Metropolis, Pon Kantamanso, Shai Osudoku, Ingleshi Amanfrom, Ningo Prampram, Ada East, among others. Mohamed Ejay Soa is the chief executive of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly.
As for the investors, there are many. I mean, it will interest you to note, almost every day we get a potential investor knocking at our doors. The challenge also is our readiness also to respond to some of the requests. One of the key issues that we've spoken about is availability of land and the issue about litigation about land matters. So, and I have advised that we should take urgent steps to regularize our interests in the lands that we have.
The District Information Officer of the Shai Osu District has been explaining to Joy Business some roles the districts will play in facilitating the program.
They will start with pork, but then they are saying that later they will go into other productions.
Okay, so how far have they come with starting up this factory?
Okay, so like we are having the district implementation team. We have met with them 3 times, making sure that we are moving with them throughout the process. So every single time we try to know where they've gotten to, the assistance they need. I should say that they are all at the preparatory stage.
The implementation support team is expected to help investors in the various districts to deal with issues of land acquisition and other certification process. Ebenezer Sabute's report for Joy Business.
Let's turn to some banking news now. And ARB Apex Bank says it is diversifying its income streams to increase profits and improve value for shareholders. The bank recovered from a 2016 loss of 13.6 million Ghana cedis to record profit after tax of 4.4 million Ghana cedis in 2017. The previous year's setback caused a depletion of the bank's reserves in the face of declining interest rates. Now, since the bank is still recovering from the huge loss recorded in 2016, it has suspended payment of dividends for the financial year. Managing Director of ARB Apex Bank, Kojo Mata, spoke to Prince Apia on the sidelines of the 16th annual general meeting of the bank in Kumasi.
At the 16th annual general meeting of ARB Apex Bank in Kumasi, board and management of the bank assured shareholders of an improved performance of the bank. This follows a 13.6 million Ghana cedis loss in 2016 that caused a depletion of the bank's reserves in the face of declining interest rates. Over 80% of the bank's revenue comes from interest-related activities, which makes it overly sensitive to interest rate changes. But the performance for 2017 is a positive one. Managing Director of the bank, Kojo Mata, said prudent management of the resources has resulted in the performance.
2016 there was a loss of 13.6 million. In 2017 we recorded a profit after tax of 4.4 million. What accounted for this? It has come about as a result of prudent management of our resources. However, there were some decisions we took in 2016 that significantly accounted for the loss, which was to support the rural and community banks in their communication cost, and there was also some bailout for some of the rural and community banks. So the communication cost was the main factor or a significant factor in the loss that was recorded. That notwithstanding, we think a lot of austerity measures that we brought into place in 2017 accounted for the profit of the bank. We hope to continue with such actions so that ARB Apex Bank can return to winning ways and make more profit for future sustainability.
According to the Bank of Ghana, the non-performing loans ratio, which is a measure of the industry's asset quality, increased to 22.7% in December 2017 from 17.3% in December 2016. Over half of these loans are in the loan loss category. Managing Director of ARB Apex Bank appealed to customers to service their loans.
Performing loans has been the bane of every bank or financial services company in this country, and rural banks are no exceptions. We can only encourage people who borrowed from the banks to pay back.
We want to update you now on some latest developments to do with transport. Over 300 Uber drivers suspended services today in protest against what they describe as unfair treatment by the service provider. Now, the drivers are agitating against 25% commission imposed on them, which they say is affecting their profits. Sheila Tamaklo was there in our reports.
About a week ago, some Uber drivers staged their first protest to register their displeasure on the harsh terms and conditions of service by the private taxi company. Today, over 300 cars parked at a trade fair center in yet another move to register their displeasure.
Ghana is one of the highest commission paid by drivers to Uber, 25%, which is unprecedented in their ways of services. However, some services include payment of money whilst online. We don't have it anymore. Some services include commission when we refer people or not pay anymore. But the treatment Uber is currently giving is a discount that sometimes goes as 100% per ride on a road, which is also very bad. What I mean is that a driver can carry a rider from Community 10, my example, Tema, Community 10, to Ashoman Estates here in Accra, and then come back to Legon. The fare is 68 Ghana cedis, and Uber will write 0.00 rider piece. You see, when we talk of our services, to be honest with you, we drivers who own cars, and we drivers, some of us, who do not own cars but take from car owners. One, we have bad roads in Ghana. Two, GPS navigating is very bad in Ghana. Three, the riders we are going to pick are not known to us. They use names like A, Didi, Fee, Robber, Raper. Any name they can choose to register themselves on Uber. Though Uber is private, but our security is not assured with who we are going to pick. pick, to the destination we are going to take the person to. So what we are saying is that we don't even see the picture of who we are going to pick. A rider can request for Uber for another person to be on trip. What we are saying that this is all, though it's a private entity, but they are not making our security in quotes possible.
I'm saying that the 25% is really affecting us because it makes the drivers, struggle so much. Driver works and have to borrow money from his colleagues or even go back to his account and take money to pay the owner by the end of the week. Now, let me give a breakdown. For instance, if I work in a week and I make 1,004 Ghana cedis in a week, 25% of 1,004 will give you 350 Ghana cedis. 350 cedis. And the owner is expecting to make a 600 Ghana cedi by the end of the week. And that 1,004, I will use 500 Ghana cedi full to make that. When I add it together, it gives you 1,450. Then you are owing. So most of the drivers end up owing, going for debt to borrow money from their friends to pay the owners, which is not helping. You understand? And Uber will come to you later and tell you that you are owing them. And we are saying that calm down so that we can also pay you.
Today it is over 300 cars and 500 drivers. But the numbers could grow and this protest could last longer, so long as the Uber executives are not responding. But with this crowd, they are hoping that the executives would hear their complaints and respond positively to these issues. And the issues include the 25% commission, the high discounts on rides, as well as issues of security. Reporting for Joy Business from Trade Fair Center here in Labadi, my name is Sheila Tamaklo.
Very low price.
All right, I guess that explains it. If you have been searching for an Uber ride and have been unsuccessful. Moving on to our Joy Business Van story for today. To be held hostage at the hospital after delivery can't be embarrassing. Sadly, some women are unable to afford basic things they need for delivery and post-delivery childcare. As Maternal Health Day is marked worldwide today, Odilia Ntiamwa brings you the story of a medical doctor, Elvis Kumar-Forsen, who runs a financial inclusion business that helps low-income women expecting babies.
The arrival of this bundle of joy may not necessarily bring happiness to every mother, as bills not covered by the NHIS pile up. For some mothers, they have to spend several days in the hospital without being discharged. The reason is simple: lack of money to settle their bills. We are at the Mamobi Polyclinic, where Rose Tete is attending her antenatal for her third child. She tells me Dr. Forsen will this time save her some embarrassment.
So it's like when I was in the labor ward, I have to go, and then the nurses will give me something. Do you have this? I say no. Do you have this? I say no. So they will give me something. Then at the end of the day, when it's time for them to collect their money, I was not having it. So what happened is, when somebody came, maybe somebody comes there to visit me, and they say, oh, okay, take this for this, then I'll use it to support. Take this for this, then I'll use it to...
That's embarrassing, isn't it?
Yes.
So you didn't want this embarrassment again?
My dear, that is it.
Insurance and good, but Musanim say insurance were whole, insurance in the whole. Musain here sika.
Dr. Forsen began Trimester Save less than 9 months ago, and the motivation is to save mothers the embarrassment of not being able to settle their bills after delivery, and midwives at the hospital also the frustration of dealing with such patients.
To be honest, this came about as a result of my interaction on the labor ward with midwives, and they are often painted black because they seem to be unaccommodating to pregnant women. But I realized that they actually are not to blame in many of the situations. They are responsible mothers, and they also have their lives to lead, and they suddenly have to manage this patient sometimes at 2 a.m. who have no funds, and some hospitals don't have any arrangement. And it's quite frustrating that a woman was pregnant for 9 months and arrived, as they say, with 10 fingers, with nothing to show. So I think that was my primary motivation, to solve this from the patient and then the midwife's perspective, so that this availability of funds to facilitate the process will be easy.
Africa is the leading continent where patients have to cough up about 40% payment of their bills.
I wouldn't single out Ghana, but I would say Sub-Saharan Africa in general. Out-of-pocket payments can rise up to 40% of the cost of having a child.
The platform makes women save towards their delivery either daily, weekly, or monthly till their due date. The money is then saved in a Pan-African savings and loans account where women cannot touch it till after the 9 months.
What we are doing now is we are onboarding the pregnant women onto Quick. And the customers themselves set the target that they want. And then they break this down into how many times they want to save and how much they want to put down. So we lock it, we put it in. So you must deposit that amount towards your delivery. So this will meet your financial requirements at delivery. And what we do is we lock it so that you cannot withdraw, because we want to help them save.
Go to bank, I can't go, maybe the man is not there. So when I came to the hospital and they introduced this, I noticed and I thought it will help me, because even if I'm in my bedroom, I can withdraw money or do mobile money from it. And if I want to save too, so from now till the time I will give birth, I don't think I will have a problem, because right now when I started, when I check the account, I see I have something there.
So what happened to the NHIS?
So there are inefficiencies everywhere, and I wouldn't want to blame the NHIS necessarily, but even in facilities, there will always be out-of-pocket payments for certain things that NHIS doesn't cover. And as I've also mentioned, there are other costs associated with having children that NHIS can simply not cross into, and so I think that's where our value proposition is, and it is a very real value proposition.
So far, 70 women have signed on to the Trimester Save platform, and it's already making waves around the world.
From Uganda, there has been significant interest. They've been calling to us to come and set it up. I'm Ghanaian. I just wanted to hand in there before East Africa, who is known for all these innovation steps in. That's right. There's been some interest from Kenya as well. Then South Africa, for example, is undergoing a big overhaul of their health system. They want to set up insurance, a new national health insurance system. So we've had some interest from there. And from far away India as well, we do have interest.
Startup has already attracted the United Nations attention.
UNCDF is the United Nations Capital Development Fund. What it focuses on is to make public and private capital work for the poor. And how do we do this? Through inclusive projects and programs. We support with technical and capital capacity to help poor people access financial services, to expand their opportunities and reduce their vulnerabilities. This explains our partnership with Trimester Save.
And the fintech is fully implemented. It's expected to reduce maternal mortality rates, especially in rural communities, which stands at 319 deaths out of every 100,000 deaths in Ghana. WHO standard is 216 and Ghana is 103 deaths away from the figure. Sierra Leone has the leading maternal mortality figures, standing at 1,360 deaths out of every 100,000 deaths.
Well, the spotlight on maternal health in the lead up to the Joy Business Health and Wellness Trade Show later this month. Be on the lookout for more information. As we wrap up, we want to let you know that you can always access our website, myjoyonline.com/business, for the latest business stories. There you see it on your screens, myjoyonline.com/business. We have a story on the IMF, Ghana ending the IMF program, and what it would mean for our social and economic programs. You can read all about that on our website, plus the day's latest, just in case you missed out on any of the bulletins on TV. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for watching. We are back same time tomorrow.